she's singing from her gut. It's guttural. It's a tonality that we can all appreciate. It can crack crystal, and it could also make you cry. I was at the 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 African Music Festival, and Lauryn Hill was there. This is the first time she had found out that her husband cheated on her with the stylist, and it's the first time she brought the guitar out and started singing the music that will become the music that she sang on Uncut on MTV. Yo, when she was wailing and started crying on the guitar with the guitar, because the guitar was screeching, but she started screeching, all the women in the audience started crying. So when the mystical art of making music, when you start merging sound, your voice, your inner instrument with these outer instruments, and you make a bop, right? Because it was a week ago Saturday, I was in the kitchen cooking at an event, and we heard that song come on, and everybody started sea walking, right? But I'm gonna show you how that was the ultimate. I mean, the brother's a genius, because this was the most illmatic move ever. What color does the sea represent? What color is the Crips?
All day long. True blue.
What color is the 69 guards?
It's red.
So, So, no. Them folks over there that he is related to.
Oh, blue.
Right? Exactly. So one blue trumps the other blue. And when he showed you that blue can be beaten, they've been receiving beatings ever since. And a week later, we get the confirmation by way of the solar eruptions, right? And the escalation of the upgrades that are necessary. Because the one thing that was also confirmed last week is that the blue over there were very much responsible for the altering of DNA that took place over that 2 or 3 year period that started in 2020. You guys know what I'm talking about. So that's the latest news that hit. And something has to be done to restore the DNA of billions of people who got their DNA inadvertently altered. So the sun has to send four X-class and G5s, and the upgrades have to be so intense, because what the brother was saying in terms of the upgrade for the DNA, it's like when you go into the beam and the light kind of scans you to see what needs to be done so they can repair you. That's what the sun is doing. Like he said, they're sending the signal down, it's hitting the core, you are in the middle of it, the core is bouncing it back, it's all plasma, and the upgrade and the information is being sent back about what needs to be done. But in the midst of it, you are receiving the upgrade. Case in point, when I woke up this morning, my phone said my storage was full. Every time these storms happen, all of a sudden my phone storage gets full. So if the black mirror of my phone is absorbing the light and the codes, and it is creating data, right, which is loading my phone up, that means that we're being bombarded with an excess of information and data. And if you have the quote unquote melanated spacesuit, then you are picking up and receiving this data as well. So I've been asking people, are you tired all of a sudden? And then the people that are active, that are in the gym, are you energetic all of a sudden? Those are the people that are transmuting this energy bombardment that's happening on this planet. So we saying tap in, because there's a lot of latent available energy and information for you to utilize for upgrade.
Okay, look, this is me and Blue Pill coming back together. Was it 2 years later?
2 years later, yes.
2 years.
Remember 2 years ago, it was a concert, a Free Larry Hoover concert.
That's right.
In LA.
Right.
Indeed it was.
Who was in it?
It was Ye and Drake.
Yeah.
Right. Now, at the time that was going on, it was a chapter or a book in Revelation was playing out in the stars. where it said that the woman was heavy pregnant with child, and she was
Virgo.
in labor, and the dragon
Right.
was waiting to consume the child at its birth.
At his birth. Yes.
Okay, that's what the star alignment was when they did that concert. Now, in the Gemini constellation, Virgo constellations are preeminent at this time because while the dragon is waiting to consume the Gemini, the twin pillars
Yes.
is what she's holding on to. Right? They have art from Christian artists rendition of the painting showing the dragon waiting to devour the child, and the woman is standing there, she's holding on to the pillars, and she's pregnant. And the reason why they're showing that, because they're showing us an artist rendition of a stellar event, right? So now they wrote about it, they painted it, and it played out in the stars. Now, there's something called a turnaround. When the energy come back that's been put out. What's Kanye's zodiac sign?
It's Gemini.
What's Kendrick's zodiac sign?
Gemini.
So Drake now trapped between the two pillars.
The two pillars. Yes.
Which is the Gemini flip. Of the beginning flips the end as they slay the dragon.
As they slay the dragon. Right.
This comes from the hero's journey. If you go back to all of the great heroes, they all had to save the lady from the dragon.
Yes. The damsel from the dragon.
Right? The hero's journey is the blueprint for the pretender to the throne to have a seamless transition of power. As one age closes, the new age open, the people that's responsible for it, they watching these stellar events, and they watching what the people wrote about these stellar events, and then they watching how is it playing out in the human arena, because we playing the parts on Earth in our day-to-day life, never knowing that we all imitating one of them stars in the sky.
That part.
So when we see the codes come in, they binary codes, it look like the streamer in the Matrix. But that's not how the ancients told us about it. The ancients showed us long arms reaching from the solar orb with hands on the end,
Right.
touching on the family.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right? It's the same thing. It's the data, the upgrades is telling you the holy drama. What we about to go through is already something that the ancients have mapped out by following the stars for a prolonged period of time.
Yes.
Cycles repeat. Some cycles take longer than others to repeat due to the amount of distance between the 2 points in which the energy returns. So this gives you a varying turnaround time. Some women have instant manifestation where they could be sitting there and they clasp their hand over their uterus and say, I sure need $50 to feed these babies. And then 2-3 hours later, somebody knocking on the door with a $50 check that they where she overpaid something 5 years ago. And she ain't had no knowledge of it. Did it really happen, or did her manifestation cause a Mandela effect? You see, so when you when you put it all together, it's explaining itself as it's playing out. We watching it, trying to figure out what it's telling us.
When was the last time the solar flares hit the U.S. in the manner in which it's hitting this weekend? Because once again, for those who came in late, this is something that not happens in the U.S. This is something you usually go to Norway, Denmark, Iceland for this. So when was the last time this happened?
They said something in this magnitude hasn't happened in over 20 years. But the major Carrington event happened in the 1800s. This is unprecedented in scope because the northern lights, right, reach all the way to the south. There's places in Florida that have even experienced it. A G5 solar storm says northern lights could reach all the way to the Caribbean. So we haven't even officially seen the hit of all hits because it just hit off the sun yesterday. So technically the gamut of it won't be here until tomorrow, for real, for real. On Mother's Day, right? Salute to the Umis out there. What a way to inaugurate and show up, on the Sunday of all days. But yeah, they said about 20 years, but people in our lifetime have never seen this. And regardless, it's like even the conversations around the eclipse, let's put into perspective the time that we exist in now. Let's give preference to the now moment, right? So with everything else that we're seeing, for people to be seeing this particular event, and people have paid more attention to the skies this year alone, and we're only 5 months in, than they have in many other prior years.
Yeah.
Right. And then they're seeing all sorts of lights and ships and things in the sky. It's a very active, event that now people are so much more engaged with the entirety of this particular ecosystem we exist in.
Remember last year too, this is happening on Mother's Day. Remember last year on Father's Day was when the Schumann resonance went crazy.
Spike, right, a spike out of control.
Crazy. So that's Father's Day, and now this is happening Mother's Day
again. When the fathers were celebrated last year, remember that? There was an outpouring of love for fathers, and all of a sudden the Schumann spiked, and that just shows that the heart chakra of the planet is corresponding to the heart chakra of specifically the melanated individuals on the planet, because they have a thicker, richer form of blood that is more oxygenated, which means that their magnetism by far supersedes anything else. If you were looking at a graph because they got all kind of graphs now that's showing you how the radiation is hitting different parts of this particular country and this continent. That's being done by man. That's not something that's happened naturally, right? Coinciding with the bombardment of ultraviolet radiation bombardment is happening. So they're attempting to offset it with their own things. But, back to the emphasis on why the woman in this particular case is so significant is because she replenishes her blood every 28 days, right? So her iron is stronger in terms of her blood. So her magnetism goes out further, right? If you looked at the EKG, they would show that her magnetism stretches out further, and she has a womb. So that's a whole nother mind. And that has an aspect of magnetism in it. So she's coming in contact first with the solar winds that are coming, these geomagnetic storms. They're going to impact her first because her magnetism touches that particular wind first. Hence the fact that she's the one that's best equipped for intuition, because she gets the information first before it materializes and become tangible. It also has to come through her because she has to give it form now. We give it definition by giving it reason and rationale. You feel me? But before that happens, she gets it in the dream as intuition, and it might look disorganized. Or I dreamt of two fishes. What does that mean once it gets downloaded? Somebody's about to be pregnant, right? Then the phone call will come through, and then you find out who. And then it has materialized and confirmed your suspicions and intuitions. So let's keep that in mind, that tomorrow is really a day to celebrate her for the way that she corresponds with the Father who sends the commandments or the instructions, you know what I'm saying? And she has the information about how to put the play together. And we end up down here on this plane as the play. You feel me?
You gotta also remember, Blue, her mitochondria is the relay of spiritual information into all of humanity.
It's the power, yes. And it's the powerhouse. Look, not only that, if you go and Google it right now, that's where you can find the matrix. There's a blue gooey substance inside the mitochondria, and it's literally called the matrix. So when we say there's no escape in the matrix is the mother. Hence the fact that that's the root word of matrix is mat, which is the matter of mother. So the matrix is physically inside of your body. It's in the mitochondria, which comes by way of our umis. And let's just pivot real quick. The interesting conversation is being had about what happened last week, and the focus that was put on the difference, not about race, but about ethnicity, right? And the observation was, they're not like us, because you are your mother's child. Even for that sect that he bangs for, the six guards, it's a maternal, it's a matriarchal one where you only receive descent through the mother. You feel me? So it's an observation about mitochondria, how information and bloodlines is handed down through the mitochondrial lineage by way of the mother. And this is how these particular religions and situations have been set up. This is how these covenants have been arranged. You know, these are some deeper conversations that, you know what I'm saying, I hope we can have on. Maybe I had to tap into the to the Patreon with y'all, so I can really to it.
Yeah, that's a Patreon conversation right there. Definitely.
We the inheritance comes from the motherland of the wealth of the family.
Yes.
So the mother disseminates the wealth to the children. If you want to undermine that, supplant that, Yakub that, right? You replace the motherland with the patriarchs, and you have to create a fictitious system, which is an elaborate illusion, a David Copperfield trick to make everybody believe that the mother is irrelevant. So you erase her out of your religions, and you push a homosexual agenda in order to feminize the males so they don't stand up and fight for their mama.
Right.
That's what this is about, huh?
That's the root.
That's what we are.
It's the root of what this is about, right? Do you think, in terms of the Northern Lights, when we hear about it being in Norway and Iceland, and just the name alone, Iceland, it's so inviting to melanated folks. We don't want to go anywhere that's called Iceland. Do you think these areas with these stellar events for the majority year, I mean, just absolutely beautiful events happening in the sky constantly, do you think these places are the weather's heavily manipulated in these places to prevent people from going over there? Or do you think the weather might naturally be as cold as it is in some of these places?
Look, I was just having a conversation earlier on Facebook with a guy, and I was telling him, HAARP is turned off. If you pay attention to the Schumann resonance and the solar activity, and then you can see what's causing the weather pattern to be freaky. Because the Schumann resonance is freaky as hell right now, and the solar flares and the solar flashes and the solar storms is freaky right now. So the weather on the physical earth is going to be freaky. This is the so-called prophecy of floods and earthquake in diverse places. Right? And Garvey said he coming back with the millions and millions of ancestors in the whirlwind. What's the whirlwind? That's the cyclone, that's the tornado, that's the hurricanes.
Right.
That's even the little dirt devils in the desert. Right? But it's also the whirlpools in the water. Right? So the ancestors, he's explaining us an old ancient science of when the ancestors start to activate the descendants to wake up and redeem the ancestors. They use weather patterns as signs for us, as wonders for us to read. Right? And then we start comparing like what we're seeing on the ground with what the weather doing, and we start seeing a whole story play out on the ground influenced by the weather.
Indeed. Damn.
People don't sunbathe on cloudy days.
Yeah.
Right? You don't go to the beach in a rainstorm. So the people responding to the weather in light can is causing energy to be moved in a certain way.
Right. That's why they have to call it forecasting, right? There are forecasters. In order for you to make predictions on models, you are utilizing data, right? And you're running it just how you do if you're doing trading. You like, well, what did it do 6 months ago? What did it do last year this day? What are the 10-year patterns? You're looking for patterns so you can make predictions. And then you're looking at the 7-day and the 10-day and the 30-day cycle. That's just how you trade. And trading coincides with forecasting in the weather, because it's something that operates on a lunar cycle according to the moon, right? So yeah, I mean, everything.
So let me ask y'all this. Let me ask y'all this. The weather is what it is. Let's say the weather is what it is because the majority of the population watches the Weather Channel. When they tell us it's going to be 92, we believe it, and we create 92-degree temperature that day. If they say it's going to rain, we believe it. We create rain that day. Do you think if we had nothing, if television didn't exist, radio didn't exist, we did not have something called the Weather Channel, do you think the weather that we experience